Welcome to Through the Eyes of Noli, a visual documentary on Rizal's characters and their stories. I'm Henry Castillo. This presentation is not a simple retelling of what happened in Noli Me Tangere, nor a list of who the characters are and what became of them because there's a lot of videos already that discusses about them. Instead, this is a reimagination, a journey through the story from a different point of view. Here we will see the world of Rizal's novel as a reflection of the Filipino spirit, its pain, its hope, and its awakening. Through the Eyes of Noli invites us to look beyond the words, to feel, to think, and to rediscover what it truly means to be a Filipino. About the novel, we have Noli Me Tangere, or Touch Me Not in English, was published in 1887 by Dr. José Rizal. It was a dating act, a young Filipino exposing the truth about Spanish rule through the power of words. The novel uncovered the cruelty, greed, and hypocrisy of those who controlled both church and state. Through its pages, Rizal awakened a sleeping nation, one that began to question, to feel, and to hope. The setting and the main idea of the novel. The story takes place in the quiet town of San Diego, a reflection of Philippine society under Spanish rule. It follows Crisostomo Ibarra, a young man who returns home from Europe full of ideals and dreams. He envisions a school that will bring education and freedom to his people. Yet he soon discovers that truth and justice are dangerous dreams in a world ruled by corruption. Through love, loss, and awakening, Noli Me Tangere becomes not just Ibarra's story but the story of an entire nation. To understand the soul of Noli Me Tangere, we must look into its characters. Rizal did not simply create people, he created mirrors, reflections of the Filipino experience. Each character stands for a part of society: the hopeful, the faithful, the corrupt, the oppressed, and the silent. Together, they paint a portrait of a nation struggling between darkness and the desire for light. For the first character, we have Crisostomo Ibarra. Crisostomo Ibarra is the educated reformer, intelligent, idealistic, and full of hope. Having studied in Europe, he believes that education is the key to progress. His dream of building a school represents Rizal's own vision for enlightenment. But Ibarra's downfall shows how easily truth is silenced when it comes to threatens those in power. He's the Filipino who dares to hope and learns that reform comes at a cost. For our next character, we have Maria Clara. Maria Clara embodies beauty, faith, and purity, but also helplessness. She represents the Filipino woman during the Spanish period, gentle, devout, and bound by tradition. Her love for Ibarra is sincere, yet she is trapped by a society that dictates her choices. Through Maria Clara, Rizal reveals the silent suffering of women, victims of both love and obedience. Now we have one of the main antagonists, Padre Dámaso. Padre Dámaso is one of the novel's most unforgettable figures. He represents the arrogance and abuse of power of some friars during the Spanish colonial period. Loud, cruel, and hypocritical, Damaso uses religion as a weapon of control. Through him, Rizal criticizes how faith was distorted, how holiness was proved and used to justify injustices. One of the supporting characters, we have Elias. Elias is the voice of the oppressed, brave, selfless, and revolutionary. Unlike Ibarra, who believed in peaceful reform, Elias believes that change must sometimes come through struggle. He fights for the poor, challenges injustice, and dreams of equality. His death is not a tragedy but a sacrifice, a promise that one day freedom will be born from his courage. Now we have another supporting characters of the novel. We have Sisa, Basilio, and Crispin. Sisa, Basilio, and Crispin represent the innocent victims of a cruel system. Sisa's madness and pain symbolizes the suffering of the Filipino motherland, grieving for her lost children. Basilio and Crispin, innocent yet punished, embodies the youth robbed of their future by oppression. Their story is heartbreaking, yet it reminds us that injustice destroys not just lives but entire generations. Lastly, we have Captain Tiago or Capitan Tiago. Captain Tiago stands for the wealthy and submissive class, those who gain comfort through obedience to the colonizers. Outwardly devout and respectable, he is driven by fear rather than faith. Rizal used Tiago to show that silence and complicity can be as destructive as cruelty. He is a man enslaved not by chains but by cowardice. Through these characters, we see every layer of society, the hopeful, the oppressed, the corrupt, and the silent. But the power of Noli Me Tangere lies not only in its characters, but in the moments that bring them together, the events that shake their world and reveal their true selves. Let us now revisit the turning points of the story, the scenes that define Rizal's masterpiece and gives voice to his vision for change. For the first major event, Ibarra's return to San Diego. Ibarra's homecoming marks the beginning of his dream to build a school that will enlighten the youth. His arrival brings hope to San Diego, but it also stirs envy and fear among those who cling to power. This moment captures the conflict between progress and oppression, a theme that echoes throughout the entirety of the novel. Next is the dinner scene. The dinner scene appears grand and elegant, but beneath the surface lies arrogance, gossip, and pride. Rizal uses this event to expose the hypocrisy of the powerful, people who speak of morality but live without it. It's a moment that strips away the mask of civility, revealing the wrath between the glittering surface. Next major event is Sisa's tragedy. Sisa's desperate search for her sons is one of the novel's most heartbreaking scenes. Her cries wandering throughout the night echo the pain of a mother and the grief of a nation. When she finally loses her sanity, it symbolizes how oppression drives both individuals and entire societies to despair. Her tragedy remains one of the most unforgettable symbols of suffering in Philippine literature. Next, we have another major event, burning of the school. The burning of Ibarra's school is a powerful symbol. It is the destruction of knowledge, the triumph of ignorance over enlightenment. Yet, even as the flames rise, Rizal reminds us that ideas cannot be burned. The fire may destroy walls, may burn paper, but it cannot destroy hope and integrity of oneself. Now to the last of the major events that we will discuss in this documentary. We have Elias's sacrifice. Elias's final act of sacrifice is the heart of Noli Me Tangere. As he dies by the river, he carries with him the dream of freedom, a dream that others will continue. His death is not a defeat, but a passing of the torch to the future generations. In that moment, the silent waters of the river became the cradle of revolution. What are the themes and lessons of the novel? Noli Me Tangere teaches us that a nation cannot heal without truth. Its themes, injustice, moral courage, love for country, and the power of education, that still echoes in our modern struggles. Rizal believed that to reform a nation, one must first open its eyes. Knowledge is not only in power, it is freedom, it is dignity, and it is love for one's people. More than a century later, the message of Noli Me Tangere still speaks to us. We may live in a different time, but the same challenges, we have inequality, ignorance, and corruption that still remains in our current society. Rizal's call for awareness, compassion, and courage is as vital now as it was then. Through this reimagined journey, I learned that Noli Me Tangere is not simply a novel from our past, it is the mirror of our present and the guide for our future. Through the eyes of Noli, Rizal's Noli Me Tangere continues to awaken the Filipino spirit. Each character and story reminds us of who we are, our identity, our struggles, and our duty to our nation. To understand Noli Me Tangere is to honor Rizal's vision, a vision of justice, freedom, and a love for a country that still calls to us today. This has been Through the Eyes of Noli, a visual documentary on Rizal's characters and their stories, prepared and narrated by Henry Castillo for Rizal 110. Inspired by the immortal vision of Dr. José Rizal, our national hero, a man who fought with words and whose words continue to fight for us. Thank you for watching, and may the spirit of Noli Me Tangere continue to awaken the Filipino soul.